Hello and welcome back to That's What He Said. This week we're talking about dreams again, and I want to talk about a quote I think will inspire you to reach your dreams, stop limiting yourselves. I'm so excited about it. Let's get into it. Today's quote of my dad's is, "There's no statute of limitations on your dreams," or also known as, just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's too late. I have been thinking about this a lot because I don't know about you guys, but I naturally limit myself because I think it's like a mix of like lack of confidence, that imposter syndrome, or just in general like being afraid of succeeding and being afraid of stepping into the spotlight, because then again it's like, what if you fail instead of what if you succeed? Like I normally think what's the worst that could happen instead of what's the best that could happen. So I've been trying to work on that, and recently my dad and I have been having conversations about those self-limiting beliefs. So I want to challenge you today with that, because there is no limitations on your dreams. And we always tend to limit ourselves, whether it's like our imagination isn't big enough or our belief in ourselves isn't big enough, or both. There is a real issue with our thinking being self-limiting. So I'm saying this as somebody who is learning it as I go as well, and I hope that you can take that journey with me throughout this video. So I think when I first heard him say this, or actually, you know what? I first read it in a potential future thing that you might see soon. So I read it when he wrote it down, and I didn't believe him at first, and he made it seem so simple, but like I didn't believe that there were no statute of limitations on my dreams. I just didn't know that. And then we talked about how self-imposed our deadline is on our purpose and how self-limiting that can be. And I think that's what really challenged me. So what are self-limiting beliefs? Self-limiting beliefs are mental barriers based on fear, past failure, or societal expectation. What our brains do is we kind of try to predict. We have this coding internally that tries to predict the next steps, or based on our experience, because again, this is like a first-person view of our world, and everybody has a different perspective on that, and that predictive coding can kind of start to create those self-limiting beliefs. So we subconsciously act according to what we believe is possible. So if we believe that we are less than we are, we're going to keep that narrative going because that's what we believe is true. We believe that to be logical, even though it's not. Our brains, as my dad says in our trainings a lot, doesn't know the difference between good and bad, because again, those are subjective things. Those are perceptive subconsciously, and our brain doesn't know the difference between good or bad. So according to neuroscience, those repeated thoughts, even the negative ones, create actual neural pathways. And those neurological pathways then shape our belief systems. So if we continue to think negatively, that now shapes our narrative. And when we have belief systems, they can biologically block or unlock growth. That's up for your brain to decide. And you have to remember that, again, your brain is a very concrete, logical thing. So it doesn't know these subjective good and bad things. So if you keep telling yourself with your dreams, you're too old, you're too late, you're too young, as I tell myself, or you're too underqualified, your brain will start to prove you right. Isn't that crazy? It's almost like the thing connected to your thoughts is going to listen to you. Your brain is listening to what you're feeding it. So if you're feeding it negativity, don't be surprised when that's the outcome. Something that really sticks with me with my dreams is at least I would like to think of myself as a creative person. And there is a true creativity crisis going on, especially in kids. So research actually shows that there is a drop in creative thinking starting at the early age of 6. So at 6 years old, this has become an international crisis, or creativity crisis. So I know that they used to use this test, I think it's called the Torrance test, I believe. And it was used to measure creativity, but that has since declined since the, I think, 1990s, especially in kids. And so if we have this age of 6, we're now instilling in kids this creativity crisis. How can you expect them to set dreams that are above and beyond? We're now training them to think smaller, when really we should be learning from the kids to think bigger. And actually, in a 2023 study done by LinkedIn, there's actually 60% of professionals that struggle with imposter syndrome. And with Gen Z, so I'm a Gen Z, that number is even higher. So that means that people already feel like they're behind. I'm already behind. That's what's coming up with people. And that matters, because if you and I don't believe that we can be creative or confident, then we're going to stop dreaming altogether. And that's what we're up against. We're up against this constant comparison, thief of joy, highlight reel that people post. And I'm guilty of this too. Like, I know I've posted and I'm like, that looked a lot better than that month felt. And I don't want that to be my narrative, but I want to be honest with people. So I think coming from me, I struggle with this as well, that I'm already behind, or that I'm too young, or I'm not qualified, or I have that guilt, the imposter syndrome, that I don't deserve things. These are all things that are played in my head, and I seem on social media like I have it together. Like, I really don't sometimes. There's probably a majority of the time where I'm trying to learn than really thinking I have it together. And that's not a bad thing. I am only 24 years old. I don't have to have everything figured out right away, and I will continue to tell myself until I believe it. Truly, I'm going to keep telling myself that. The only expiration date on your dream is the one that you believe in. So I hope that my dad's wisdom in this rings true for you, that there really are no statute of limitations on your dreams, not because time doesn't pass and things don't happen and you fail and you learn, but because your calling doesn't expire. And as we talked about remembering whose you are a couple weeks ago, God's timing isn't restricted by our timeline. He makes all things beautiful in perfect timing. So faith, the belief, not the person. Faith requires imagination and belief beyond what we can see. So maybe you've buried a dream. Maybe you're 27 or 57 or 77 and you're wondering if it's too late to start over. It's not. Let me be the first person to hold your hand and say this. Let me hold your hand. It is not too late to start whatever dream you may have. That voice in your head may be loud. That negative reinforcement may be all you can hear right now. But that's not true. That's not who God says you are. That is not the wisdom that you can be giving yourself. Your brain is going to believe the positive or the negative. So choose the positive. Align yourself with what you're actually called to be, what your purpose actually is. You are not too late, too young, too underqualified, too overqualified, whatever the narrative may be. You can do this. You can have all of this imagination, all of this creativity. Don't be the statistic. Don't be in that 60% of imposter syndrome. Don't be the one creating limits for your kids or for yourself that stop them or you from reaching your potential. If you're a part of that statistic, change something. I'm going to change as much as I can to change my thinking, to be more positive. I feel like I've been doing that the past year or so really intentionally, and it shows. So if you've paused on a dream, if you've paused on even pursuing it and thinking it's possible, it is not dead. Don't create the statute of limitations on your dreams. Use this as fuel, as the light under you to get going on those dreams. Write them down. Let us know how we can help. And with all of that being said, I know this was a lot of like stats and fun facts and all of that stuff, but truly, you have a dream, you have a purpose. I really believe that, and I hope that I can encourage you to believe the same thing. And social media is not all it's cracked up to be. I post these motivational videos and still struggle. There are people out there who you're listening to who still struggle. And you're going to still struggle. You're going to have to take every thought captive, and you're going to have to remember that your brain remembers good or bad. It doesn't know the difference, but you do. You know it before you think it. Don't let your brain be fed by the junk food, the negative thinking, the limits that you might put on yourself. Let it be encouraging, motivating, and let it conquer those negative fears. Let it conquer those irrational thinking patterns. Let it be beyond predictive thinking. You are not your past. You are not too young. You are not too old. It's not too late to start over. It's not too late to start. So just start. Put your tennis shoes by the door, as I've talked about before. Make those small steps and chase after it. If you want something to change, you have to make something change. I encourage you guys, don't let yourself go into that thinking that's limiting. Let yourself imagine, let yourself wonder, let yourself be creative, and let yourself feel that joy again. Thank you guys for watching. I hope we can help you with your dreams if you need it. Comment below, maybe if you need some help, reach out to us. With all that being said, I will see you next week on That's What He Said. Bye, guys.